What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Magic Hour.
Today we're reviewing this little indie film. I did that joke. I did that joke in my other review. We're reviewing Avengers Endgame. In case you didn't take the hint there, I did a short review yesterday with no spoilers. We're gonna spoil the hell out of this.
Oh, the crap out
So
of it.
you haven't seen it, go watch my other review. It's right before. It should be right before this one. So
Yeah, take our word for it.
we are going to spoil every single surprise and epic moment in this movie.
Which was
I have a list.
almost 3 hours of epicness.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite, but almost. And we're also going to tell you about what happened after the credits.
I thought they didn't have any credits.
They didn't have nothing after the credits. That's all I got to tell them.
Oh, okay.
But,
You got me worried for a second because we left right away. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what'd you think about this little independent film?
Well, little known actors, terrible script,
$500 million
no story, no continuity,
$500 million budget, wasn't it?
$500 million budget.
And they've already made it back. It's already made $1 billion.
$1 billion on launch weekend. Well, I know one thing. I had to catch it on a late showing on launch night.
I did too.
And the theater was still packed with like hardcore Marvel comic fans.
You know what I hate? When I go to the theater that I go to, they have assigned seating every time, and you buy your tickets, you pick your seat. If you go on Fandango and buy the tickets like I do, you have to pick your seat.
Really?
But without fail, every time we go into this theater, there's people sitting in the wrong seats, or people sitting in our seats, and I gotta tell them,
anarchists.
and they're acting like they always act like, oh, I didn't know. You did know. I've been going to that theater for years, and you pick the seats when you come in. So all these people that just act so surprised, oh, I'm sorry.
They need to get with the program.
They need to get with the program. But last night, thankfully, we had our seats. Nobody was sitting there. But there was this whole group of people that came in. They were like looking at these people in their seats. They were like, y'all got to get up.
Yeah.
There's a big commotion.
I'm a rule follower. But at NCG in Spartanburg, where I'm from, they have recliner seats.
Yeah.
But it seats less people in the theater because the seats are bigger.
Okay.
But it also sells out really fast.
Yep.
So if you don't get on there, I had to go and get my tickets like 3 or 4 days prior to the movie. Mm-hmm. And I still could only get the 11 o'clock showing. But anyway, let's get down to the meat and potatoes of.
So did you like this movie? I didn't really care for it. I was joking. I was a little bit too enthusiastic in my review yesterday, and then I calmed down. I said, "Look, I gotta find something that I didn't like."
Yeah,
this is my responsibility.
Well, I was into the film from the opening scene to the end of it, and I experienced the gamut of emotions as everybody did through that, because you had comic relief with okay, the spoilers start now, just so you know. The comic relief with Thor Lebowski, Fat Thor, whatever you want to call him.
Oh, they lied in the trailers too, because you don't see Fat Thor in the trailers. You don't. You see the Infinity War Thor. They did that on purpose. They did a lot of that. Did you notice they didn't? There was a scene that they released online when Captain Marvel returns. That scene was not in the movie.
Really?
But I think wasn't an end credit to Infinity War?
Probably.
I think it was. So maybe that's why they didn't.
But, you could throw the clip in there of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the movie. It was a roller coaster. you're kind of thrown aback by the fact that in the first 10 minutes of the movie, Thanos is killed.
Yeah.
By Thor.
Because Thor kills him. Well, first of all, because he's mad, but second, the main reason was because he destroyed the Infinity Stones.
Right.
So they track him down thinking they can do another snap and bring everybody back, but he's destroyed the stones.
And Thanos has harmed himself in destroying the Infinity Stones. So, what was the next logical thing to do? Logical being relative here, but what's the next logical thing to do if you need these Infinity Stones and you can't get them? Well, thanks to Ant-Man, who came back in earnest, they decide that they need to build a time machine. So tell us about the Hulk in this thing.
Well, Hulk, somehow, that was another thing they didn't really show in the trailers. They kept the Hulk, I don't. Did they show even Bruce Banner in the trailers? I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember either, but I know.
I don't think they did, but Bruce Banner has figured out a way to live as Hulk, but without the rage.
Well, he perfected the gamma ray experiment. Isn't that what he said? He perfected it, so he was able to stay in the state of the Hulk.
Yeah.
But he has all of Banner's intelligence, and you see the Hulk wearing glasses and working on a computer, kind of reminiscent of what's that DC character that's really smart?
Beast.
The Beast, yeah. And
is he DC? He's not DC though,
isn't he?
Beast is a mutant.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think he is.
Sorry, Marvel. My bad. Yeah. But anyway, that threw me back. But he wasn't smart enough to build the time machine. So at this point, everybody's kind of like separated, and they're all trying to come to terms with the loss of everybody.
Some people are handling it better than others, though, because Tony Stark has a kid.
Well, yeah, he didn't lose the love of his life like a lot of people did. So he was able to continue on.
He did lose Peter Parker.
Oh, well.
And he feels guilty about that. Which is why I think he's compelled to help them eventually. Because they first come to him with this idea, and he's like, no, that'll never work. You would have to do the pi calculation in the quantum theory. Some gobbledygook they made up. He says it wouldn't work because of some quark or something. And then, like, over dinner, he figures out how to do it.
And he was like almost mad that he figured it out. But so he ends up getting called back in, and they bring together everybody, and they determine that the way to move forward here, and there's only one way to bring everybody back, and that's to get the stones, make a glove, and snap them back into existence.
Right.
And so the only way they can get the stones, because at this current time period, they've been destroyed, and Thanos is dead. But because of the work that Ant-Man has done with what is it, quantum travel, they've figured a way to go back in time.
Well, the work Hank Pym has done, because he has something called the Pym particles.
Right.
And they use that to go back in time.
And so they go back in time, and they assemble into teams, and each person has a responsibility to go back to a certain period of time to where they know the stones are going to be at that time on all over the universe, right?
Yep. And the two Avengers, now here's where it got a little contrived. The two Avengers who happen to love each other go to Vormir to get the Soul Stone. So what's going to happen here? And I'm talking about, of course, Hawkeye and Black Widow.
And Black Widow, and they it's reminiscent to the scene in, was it Infinity War when Gamora sacrificed herself?
She didn't sacrifice.
Well, when Thanos sacrificed her.
Thanos sacrificed.
Because you had to. The only way to get the stone was to lose something you love.
You had to sacrifice something
that you love. So here's them. So they're both fighting, trying to be the person that sacrificed.
Yeah.
And she wins.
Now, this is something that one point of contention. Because I went ahead and read some reviews, and this is one of the things a lot of people were complaining about, because it seems like when they come back with the stones, and everybody notices that she's the only one that didn't come back, they didn't take it too.
No, they didn't.
They didn't take it very. She didn't make it. Okay, well, especially Bruce Banner, who was in a relationship with her. He didn't seem particularly upset. So I would have to go back. I'm not sure that's completely right. I have to go back and watch it again.
Well, they were a little, messed up about it, but not near as messed up as they were at the end.
Yeah, well, let's not get to that yet. Let's not get to that. But yeah, so I thought about it a little bit, and they were right. I think it was either they wasn't terribly upset, or maybe it's just something that happened off screen, because they had some, they had a lot of story to fill, or perhaps everybody knows that she's gonna have her own her movie coming out, so they wasn't particularly worried.
Okay, so
ew, come look what the cat brought in. Ew, come here,
baby, we're filming.
Oh my God, there's a Jesus Christ!
Radio edit.
I'll be back. Hold it.
You have to edit this out.
So, one of our killer cats killed a chipmunk.
Man, my cat's a serial killer.
Well, that's the second chipmunk she's killed today. So,
all right, we'll go pick it up where we left off.
So, what were we talking about? We were talking about Black Widow. So, Black Widow sacrifices herself. There were so many good moments. Okay. So one of the epic moments was Captain America is trying to get the scepter back after the Battle of New York.
Right.
They took Loki's scepter, and the SHIELD guys come in and take it immediately. And it's the same guys we know to be Hydra, who reveal themselves to be Hydra and the Winter Soldier. And Captain America, of course, knows this.
Because he's from the future.
He's from the future. He walks into the elevator, and you think, oh, is he going to just kick everybody's butt now? And he said, Hail Hydra.
Yeah, and they hand it over.
And they hand it over to him. And that was a nod to a recent comic book called Secret Empire. You heard about this controversy?
No,
In this comic book, Hydra gets a cosmic cube, and they change history so that they can win World War II.
Right.
And as a result, Captain America is a Hydra agent. And in the comic book, he says, Hail Hydra. That's what they were giving a little nod to that comic book.
Okay.
But it caused a lot of... When this comic book came out, I think Trump was just elected. And a lot of people were pissed off that they thought they were like exploiting the fact that he got elected and everybody was calling him a fascist and whatnot. And they thought they were trying to sell more comic books by having Captain America come out as a secret fascist. So it was a big controversy, but that was a nod to that comic book series, Secret Empire. He also coincidentally kills Black Widow,
and he fights himself.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the comic book, but yeah, he fights himself.
Now, in the movie, he fights himself. His previous Captain America runs into his future Captain America, and I guess they had to see who would win. But
so there was a lot of good moments. Backing up a little bit, I like when Scott Lang comes out. They put the van in storage. Right. If you watch the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, everybody turns to dust while he's in the quantum realm, and I guess they find the truck and they put it in a warehouse, and a rat runs over the controls,
right, and
activates the machine, which I thought was, if I was gonna, be critical of this movie, really critical, I could point out all the contrivances here, because they left the machine hooked up. They didn't even investigate what this machine does.
Right.
Till a rat just steps on the controls and releases him from the quantum realm.
I know, and if a rat is capable of activating a machine of that level, you got to question everything.
So yeah, okay, so that was a little bit silly, but I like the fact that he goes. There's a memorial. Where is he at? He's in San Francisco.
Yeah, because the Golden Gate Bridge is behind him.
He goes to they have this kind of like Vietnam type memorial set up for
the slabs with all the names on them
with people who've died in the snap. And he goes to look. He does what any father would do. He goes to see if his daughter's name is on there, and he finds his own name. Which I told my wife when that was happening. I was like, he's going to find his name on there. So there was one of the things I said in my review yesterday was that there's a lot of predictable things. Like I predicted the fact that. I mean, you pretty much know when they showed Hawkeye in those trailers, teaching his daughter how to shoot arrows.
Right.
They were gonna all get
that
killed.
Was the whole opening scene of this movie was him spending time with his family, living the normal life on the farm.
Was that the same farm? I don't think that was the same farm.
Yeah.
It seemed a little bit different from the one in Ultron.
I'm sure it was meant to be the same farm.
Yeah, but I don't think it was. I think they changed locations. But that doesn't really matter. They could have just moved or something.
Right. I mean,
so I like the part. Did I like the part where he goes to his old house and he sees a girl come in the door. He doesn't recognize her though. Then he realizes
we're talking about Ant-Man, right?
Ant-Man.
You're right.
He realizes, oh my God, this is my daughter. Because it's 5 years later.
Well, and
it's been 5 years since he's seen her.
Okay,
and she's a teenager now. I'm
going to be critical for a minute because I'm a fantasy of post-apocalyptic, fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And if half the people on Earth disappeared, I think in this movie and in this universe, people were dealing with it pretty good. They had the support groups and stuff, but in my opinion, if half the people on the Earth disappeared, it'd be chaos. People would revert back to like primitive ways, and I don't think it would just be business as usual.
Well, they do have some overhead shots. They show all the didn't they show like Yankee Stadium or something, and all these cars have been abandoned?
Yeah, I think so.
There was a bunch of shots that they had. And when he goes home, there's just all this trash is piled up in the road.
Right.
Like, I guess they don't have...
Right.
They don't have all
I guess they did kind of address that.
Yeah, I mean, they were kind of giving indications that society is not running smoothly anymore.
But it was smooth enough to put up a memorial for all the missing.
Yeah, well... See, like I said, on one hand, some of the stuff was cliche. Some of the stuff was contrived, and some of the stuff was actually there was enough things that they did right that you forgot about all the contrivances. Because him seeing his daughter and not recognizing her kind of pulled at my heartstrings a little bit.
Yeah,
and he's like,
I agree.
Are you Casey? He did, he has to ask her if she's his daughter. So that got me immediately.
She's basically the same age as him.
Is she?
Well, maybe a little younger, but they're both adults now.
Yeah. Well, she's a teenager, I think.
Okay.
But
all grown up though.
And so another thing, the one thing I criticism this movie got is that there was no action for like an hour, because you just basically.
Yeah, but they had 2 more hours to make.
If you put Infinity War and Endgame in the same movie, this would be the second act of the movie.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Pretty much. So, I looked at it from that perspective. Okay, this would be the second act, and everything that happens after that, after they decide to go in the past and do the heist, is the third act.
And then it picks up considerably.
It picks up considerably. But let's go back to when they go back into the past, because there's a lot of things they wrapped up really neatly. I like the fact that Tony got to see his father.
Yep.
And his big thing was, he never. I don't think he ever told his parents he loved them or whatever. He doesn't tell his father that, but they talk, and like he has some closure, because that man was so influential on his life. So I love that scene. I think it resolved a lot of the stuff problems that he had with his personality. I think his father had loomed heavily on him all his life.
Right.
So when he died, it like pushed him off into a bad area. That's probably why he was so self-absorbed in the first Iron Man. So I just thought that was like and the fact that he has a daughter now kind of just chilled him out a little bit as far as the selfishness is concerned. So I think his character arc came to a nice, neat little conclusion. And
he was ready to retire to the dad home life and all that, and just accept things for the way they were. Right. And everybody else wasn't down with that.
Yeah.
So, but
and then there's a scene where, when they try to get the Tesseract, and they have a scuffle because the Hulk didn't get to ride the elevator down with everybody, and
he was mad.
Yeah, Hulk comes out of the stairwell and like knocks the Tesseract on the ground or something, and Loki jumps in and grabs it, and like he teleports to his new television series. But so he gets away with the Tesseract, and you're like, oh, what are they going to do now? Because they don't have enough PIM particles. They only have enough PIM particles to get back. So Iron Man and Captain America figure out that, hey, well, we can use these PIM particles that we do have, go back even further in time to where the Tesseract was being stored in New Jersey. And they go back to the military base from Winter Soldier.
Right.
And they go in the basement because at that time, Howard Stark still had the Tesseract.
Right.
So that's how. What happens is Captain America. He goes to get. Does he go get the PIM particles?
Yeah, Captain America goes upstairs to the lab
to get the PIM particles.
The PIM particles from the young doctor. What was his name again?
I don't know.
But Ant-Man's.
Hank Pym.
Yeah, Hank Pym.
And then Howard Stark goes to get Tesseract. He gets Tesseract. But I like that whole thing because he sees Peggy.
Right.
In her office. Because I guess they had started S.H.I.E.L.D. by this point. Her and Howard Stark. So, he's just sitting there watching her, and I was just like saying the whole time, look up. doesn't. She's talking to somebody at her desk, but she doesn't look up, and he's just staring at her.
Have they met at this point?
Yeah, this is after. This is like, I think this is like 20 years later.
So if she'd have looked up, she would have.
I mean, 20 years after the events of the first Captain America.
Okay. It's hard to keep it all straight, man.
Yeah, so he's looking at her, and the wheels are turning in his head. So what I'm saying, I guess, is Howard Stark has this whole arc with his father and with being a father himself and coming to terms with what that means, looking beyond his selfishness. Captain America is looking back at his past, literally in the face. And that comes into play later. Thor is having his own little problems. He goes back in time.
PTSD.
Yeah, but he goes back in time and he sees his mother because he never got to see his mother before she died. So you got all these great character moments for the main Avengers. And then you got this conflict between Black Widow and Hawkeye. They're fighting each other. They love each other, and they're fighting over who gets to sacrifice.
Yeah. Who gets to sacrifice themselves
and of
so
course,
that they can achieve their goal.
As happened in the original Avenger movie, she wins and sacrifices herself, and he gets to go back to his family because we find out that prior to them going back in time, he's been going around the world just killing.
After he lost his family.
He's killing corrupt cartel, drug lords and crime lords because he's mad that they survived this snap when his family did.
Right.
So he's going through this thing. So all the main Avengers are going through this thing.
But they wrap it up, put it in a box, put a ribbon on it, and finish the stories on most of these characters' issues. What about Stan Lee's
final
cameo?
Yeah.
Was that CG?
No, I think they shot all his stuff I think I heard they shot all his stuff at once because they knew he was getting up there. I mean, he's already in his 90s. But yeah, I'm glad. Did he actually get to see this movie?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard.
I gotta look that up because I'm hoping that because this was the last movie, man. In this phase of movies, because they're gonna do more, but I felt bad that if he didn't get to see the very last one because I think he saw every other one. So I'm hoping they had a version to show him before he died. But there were so many epic moments. I tried to list them all, man, and I got to
there really is a lot. Just read through them, well,
I don't want to start at number one. That's my favorite one. So I was just talking about Captain America's arc, and one of the things that happens in the end of the movie is that they defeat Thanos, of course, but they have to go back in time and replace the stones. And they choose Captain America to do it because he's the only one besides Thor who can pick up the hammer because they're going to return the hammer too. Because in this movie, they had a lot of fun with when Thor goes back in time, he takes his hammer back before it got destroyed. So now he has Stormbreaker and Bajorna or whatever it's called. So and in fact, during the final battle, there's that scene where they're like fighting, and Captain America. I'll have to go ahead and reveal my favorite epic moment. My favorite moment in the film was when Captain America, Thor gets knocked down or something, and Captain America grabs his hammer and picks it up. It was so epic.
And starts using it just like Thor uses it.
Yeah, he's even summoning lightning. And Thor's like, I knew it! Because if you remember, in the Age of Ultron, they're at that party, and he's asking everybody to attempt to pick it, and Captain America actually rocks it a little bit. So there was the idea there that maybe he could actually have picked it up, and maybe he just decided not to because he didn't want to, I don't know, hurt Thor's feelings or something. But so he picks up Thor's hammer. But at the end of the film, he has to return all the stones because he's one of the only ones that can pick up the hammer,
right,
and return it. Now, my thing about the end, he comes back and he's an old man, so it's revealed that he married Peggy,
right.
So that was his arc, fulfilling his biggest desire was to marry Peggy. So he does that. My thing with him going back, though, he had to go back to Vormir and see the Red Skull. So my question is, how did that meeting go?
Yeah, I wish they'd give us a little insight into that. But I mean,
does he even know that the Red Skull survived? Because I don't think when Thanos visits Vormir to get the Soul Stone, he doesn't know who Red Skull is. And I know Hawkeye and Black Widow didn't know him, but I was just be curious what happened during that meeting.
Well, I know that was one of the most epic battles. The final battle at the end where Thanos and his army, at first it was just like 3 or 4 characters, right? 3 or 4 Avengers that were fighting Thanos and all his army, and then all of a sudden, here comes everybody.
Well, see, what happens is they get the stones back. Stark has built another gauntlet.
Right. In Iron Man style.
Iron Man style nanotechnology, and they get Hulk to do another snap to bring everybody back.
Right. And
they use Hulk because everybody knows by now that if you use the gauntlet to do that, it's going to mess up your. You have to have it with somebody that can withstand the power,
right?
Like Thanos does,
right?
Because Thanos used it twice, and when they meet him at the beginning of the movie, his arms all
upside of his face. And
he's all charred up. So, and the same thing happens to Hulk. But at that very moment, Thanos attacks. Now, we've already mentioned that Thanos died, right?
Right.
This is the Thanos from the past, I think, right?
Right, because then
what happens
they kind of reveal themselves when they're going back to get the stone to the Thanos of the past, and then he realizes what's going on.
Well, he realizes, see, Nebula is helping them.
Right.
And the Nebula in that time period, whatever time period they were in, because they have to go back and get the power stone before Quill can get it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't knock him out. They get it, but they have to get. So Nebula has some kind of mind link with her
future Nebula, right?
Yeah, and as a result, Thanos finds out what's going on. He finds out that he has out in the future. Sometimes he has done what he's always wanted to do and snap everybody out of existence, or half the population out of existence. And as a result, he knows why. He figures out that they're coming back in time to stop him. So he attacks them. How does he get back to the future with them, though?
He comes through their machine, remember?
Does he?
He flies that ship up through the machine that they built.
I gotta go see it again. But anyway, he gets back.
Because Nebula, remember, she's like the spy. The past Nebula shows up as a spy. And they have the future Nebula prisoner.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So, Thanos, he comes back. He attacks Avengers headquarters. They blow up Avengers headquarters. And, of course, somehow nobody gets hurt. That was another contrivance, but we'll let that go. Because the battle that ensues afterwards is just so freaking epic because when Hulk snapped his fingers, he brought everybody back. And the first thing Doctor Strange does is starts building portals for everybody because he knew in the last movie what was going to happen. This chain of events was going to happen.
Right.
So he makes sure everybody arrives. The Wakandans arrive. All the other Avengers arrive. The Asgardians arrive. Even Valkyrie, a lot of people question whether she got killed at the beginning of the last one. Well, you find out in this movie that she's alive and well, living with other Asgardians I think in Norway, in a little village. So she comes in riding her horse, and man, there's just so many epic things. Thanos breaks Captain America's shield.
Right. Yep, that's a big one.
Captain America finally says, "Avengers assemble," which he hasn't. He said it in one of the movies, but then they cut away. Of course, Captain Marvel arrives because she's off in another solar system or something, helping other people.
Let me just stop you. Can we talk about the haircut?
Okay.
What's up with the haircut?
See, this is another thing they hid in trailer. In the trailers, they showed the mohawk. What else? They just gave her the look from the comics.
Okay.
I didn't like it.
I didn't either.
I don't think Brie Larson can. She can't rock that haircut. She doesn't have
the cheekbones.
Well, she don't have the right face for it. She just looked. She looked kind of mannish. What's the PC term?
Manly. Yeah.
She looked a little manly with that haircut. She looks a lot better with the long hair because in the beginning of the movie she has the long hair. But there's a bunch of epic things that happen during the battle. Scarlet Witch attacks Thanos and is like holding her own against Thanos for killing Vision. And
yeah, she's pretty tough.
The women rocked some ass in this movie.
Yeah, you remember the scene where all the women
there's a scene where all of them like converge at the same time
as a group, and they're like,
and one of them is Pepper Potts.
Yep.
She has her own Iron Man armor, which was awesome. I was like, wow.
When she first showed up, I was like, who is that?
Yeah, and then she like lifts her thing.
I was thinking War Machine. I was like, wait a minute, that's not War Machine. That's a female character. And so then you find out it's Pepper Potts. And then what happens?
Well, you talking about Iron Man?
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. Thanos has determined that he didn't go far enough when he did his first snap. So if he gets the glove back, the gauntlet back, he's going to snap everybody out of existence.
And just
wipe all life and then create new life. So nobody has any memory of what he's done, which is kind of stupid. Wouldn't that lead to
them going back through the same?
Yeah, the universe getting overpopulated again, or whatever he thinks is happening. So he's gonna kill everybody. He gets the glove. He gets the glove back. Well, let's back up a little bit. The guns on his ship are firing on the ground. Then suddenly they stop and start firing toward the sky.
And you're like, what in the world?
And they're like, what's going on? What's going on? And I looked at my wife. I knew what was going on, so I said, that's Captain Marvel.
And
I started like it. No, I actually didn't say it like I just said. I was like, that's Captain Marvel. I was like giggling like a little schoolgirl. But Captain Marvel arrives. And right when Thanos gets the gauntlet, she just boom, boom, like everybody's been waiting for this fight because we all know it was going to happen.
Like she's one of the most powerful, Marvel characters out there, man.
She was kicking his ass with this. I forget what. I gotta go watch this movie again. There was just so much epicness.
It really was hard to take it all in one viewing.
But he does something to her and knocks her off of him, and then he's about to do the snap. Iron Man runs up to him, grabs the glove, and when he snaps his hand, he looks at his glove and the stones are gone. Because remember, the gauntlet that Stark made is out of nanotech, and he controls that nanotech. So he has that glove transferred to his glove, and then he snaps Thanos and all his minions out of existence. But the stones are so powerful they kill him.
They kill him. And and so yes, everybody. Iron Man dies in this.
Iron Man dies.
So that's 2 down. That's
Black Widow.
Black Widow and Iron Man are dead. And then as you had mentioned earlier, they go through and
Captain America's pretty much finished too because he's an old man.
Yeah, and he's
not doing any more movies.
But he's going to hand his shield down.
He hands his shield over to what's his name?
The Falcon.
The Falcon, Sam something. Yeah, I just put the Falcon. Yeah, so he hands his shield over to the Falcon. Now that was a throwback to that same comic, The Secret Empire, because The Secret Empire, I think that Captain America loses his powers or something, and he hands his shield over to Sam. What's his name? Sam. He has his shield over to Falcon, and Falcon becomes Captain America for a little while.
Right.
So that was a throwback to the comics too. Well, so that was an epic moment.
It's been well worth the wait for it. And it took them several years and quite a bit of money, but they finished this story up right. I mean, I didn't leave that theater feeling like I missed out on something or that, with any questions really.
I mean, there was obviously plot holes and contrivances, but if you're stopping to look, we got freaking gods in this movie. We got Thor.
Right.
We got a lot of ridiculous stuff in this movie already. So people who are trying to pick it apart and find little plot holes and stuff, it's not that type of movie. This is not a documentary or something.
Right. It's not based on reality.
This is based on people flying in the air.
And being stronger than...
Like Captain Marvel can fly in space. In fact, that's how, we forgot to mention that, Tony Stark is about to die in the ship and Captain Marvel saves him.
Yeah, and everybody saw that in the trailer where Tony Stark is sitting on the ship and it's drifting. They're about to run out of oxygen.
Yeah.
He's with Nebula and... he's given his last will and testament, to Potts, and then Nebula sets him up in the front seat to let him die, and then his face starts getting bright, and of course when he opened his eyes, there's standing Captain Marvel or floating Captain Marvel, and she just buzzes him back home real quick. Yeah. Before he runs out of oxygen.
Well, one of the major complaints I can kind of agree with is the fact that at the very end of the movie they have a funeral for Tony Stark,
right?
And everybody's there. Everybody, even Nick Fury is there for 2 seconds. They show him. They show everybody. They show all the Avengers. They show Maria Hill. They show the Wakandans. They show just everybody.
Right, all the supporting actors.
Yeah, they show everybody that's ever been in any of these movies, pretty much. But somebody, I know, I read somebody complaining that why didn't they do a funeral for Black Widow? It's like she's not even mentioned.
I know that was.
So I kind of saw that too. I was like, yeah, that kind of stuck out a little bit.
It did. But it was an absolutely epic film. It was everything that
there was not a dry... When Iron Man dies, there's not a dry eye in the theater.
No, I heard all kinds of...
But at the same time, you were saddened. Emotionally, you go through a lot of stuff in this movie. But it just... that's the nature of something being epic, though. Because had you not had all that stuff, somebody had to die. I don't know. I just thought it worked on so many levels. So.
Well, we always encourage you guys to, comment give us your side of things and what you felt about the movie, because our opinions aren't always 100% right. Yeah. They're right to us, but
But it was a great movie. It was a satisfying end to a great 23 movies, 24 movies, something like that.
That's a lot of them.
So it was a great. I mean, I don't think they could have hoped for anything better than this. I mean, it was excellent. So,
well done, Marvel. Well done.
But anything else?
No, I was just gonna say, thanks for stopping by and spending this time with us. Get ready for our next video together that we're reviewing. Game of Thrones, and it's going to be the big one. It's going to be the big one. So I'm really excited about that as well. But that's all I got. That's all we got for this episode, and I guess we'll see you.
See you when you see you.
See you when we see you.
Thanks for watching.